Video game version of Bumblebee. Not so silent night. So, want anything for Christmas in particular? How about a giant black mastodon? Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. And this month we're going to take a look at a relatively new feature for the Studio Series line this month. To help expand on the ever-dwindling supply of characters that they can use, Hasbro's decided to expand the Studio line to include video games. More specifically, they're covering the famed War for Cybertron game, and in a way as well, its sequel, Fall of Cybertron. I guess it shows that they're starting to run out of movie characters, and they don't really want to flood the market with it being all Studio 86. Go figure, the ones that most of us adult collectors really want, they don't want to flood the market with. But at any rate, we're going to take a look at all 5 that have been released this month. And we're going to start out with number 1 in the series, Bumblebee. Of course, Bumblebee was featured in both games. And a lot of that is due to his popularity as a character in the live-action films. And like Larry commented, and we brought up a few videos back with the Ultra Bee video, Bumblebee here in the game was voiced by actor Johnny Young Bosch, who, while he's done numerous voice acting roles, he's most well known, for many of us in the 90s and such, for portraying Adam, the second person in the Power Rangers saga to become the Black Ranger. Hence Larry's joke about a black mastodon, for those who had the joke go over their head. I don't think there's that many of you out there, but we never know with Larry. Alright, for starters, let's move Bumblebee aside here so we can see the backdrop. This is done up to be like a scene from the game. This is supposed to represent a section of the Cybertronian city of Iacon, which according to the lore serves as the capital of Cybertron. It's an interesting little backdrop. It's something different, at least. Since, let's face it, with a fair amount of the studio ones that we have been getting, especially the movie line ones, they've all been rather plain and, in a lot of ways, uninteresting. So, nice to see one that's a little different. And the few shots that we have seen of Cybertron on these, they've all been from Bumblebee, and they're all the same shot. So, let's be grateful for some small changes. Alright, here we have Bumblebee. He does include a fair amount of his weapons. Thankfully, he can store 2 of his weapons on his back with ease, and then he can carry the sword. Because this version of the Studio Series is doing something a little bit different. The right arm on the figure is detachable just around the elbow so that it allows the guns to plug into them. Sort of a way of copying the transforming weapon idea that that was shown in the video game. That their guns would basically transform out of their arms. And just Bumblebee's shoulder here, so he looks right. But at any rate, let's start by knocking him over first. And then we'll start by taking a look at his accessories. We'll start with the only one that he can hold independently, and that is his sword. I do like the detail on the sword, because, I mean, when you look at the blade here, there is a lot of markings and such on it, so I do like the detail. If there's anything I don't like is that it's not painted. I mean, it's been a while since I've played or even seen the game, but it would be nice if the detail was painted a little bit, just so it stood out a little bit more, because in certain angles of the light, you can't see it. And then, of course, his next accessory will be the one we're going to have to get out of the way anyways, so that you can see the gimmick done with him, and that would be his right arm. His right arm detaches from just below the elbow. That way it can allow you to set it up so you can aim the gun, but if you buy this toy loose, you want to make sure that you do have the arm, because if you don't, you're really going to have a heck of a time transforming him. And then next up, we have a couple of his other guns. We'll start with this one. It's his cannon. It looks kind of good, but again, I would really like a little more paint detail on it instead. I think it looks a little too plain just as is. You just plug it in like that, and you act like Bumblebee's blasting away. That's a nice little thing. And then lastly, Bumblebee has this other gun, which is done up more like a rifle. And this one I kind of like a little better. I'd still like a little more paint details on it. Of course, I also wouldn't mind it including some of the energy blasts that we got back in the Siege line. Those would look kind of neat protruding out from that. But again, you just plug it in there, and then you can reenact scene. You can pose him up like he's doing some of the actions as seen in the video game. Alright, let's take a look now at Bumblebee's articulation, and he has what you would expect from a Studio Series figure. His head can be turned from side to side, and it is on a small ball joint, so it will rock up and down a bit. You can raise his arm up at the shoulder about so far, and it does rotate at the shoulder all the way around. But you do gotta allow some clearance around the car kibble on his back. You can bend his arm at the elbow 90 degrees, and it does feature a swivel at the bicep. So Bumblebee has G.I. Joe style battle grip. And because of the way that's positioned on the arms, it even can work on the gun arm. Bumblebee has some articulation at his waist, so he can get some dance moves going there. You can spread his legs apart almost into a full splits. He does have a good thigh cut going for him. You can raise his leg at the hip 90 degrees. You can bend him at the knee a little greater than 90 degrees. So all in all, he has fairly decent articulation for a toy of his size. Okay, we're going to transform Bumblebee. And I will warn you, he is a bit of a pain, because I did have a fair amount of trouble working with Bumblebee when I first bought him. And of course, make sure you've got the arm reattached. Because the first step we do is we're going to fold in his arm, fold in his hands at the wrist, all the way down, because that'll help expose the tire on his arms. Then, of course, once you've done that, you rotate them downwards so that the wheel, the exposed wheel area down here at the bottom, will point towards his back. Just exactly like that. And then now we're going to come to his chest. We're going to pop it free and raise it and his arms over his head like so. And of course, while we've got done that, you will reach in here to this black stripe down the middle. And that gets folded down all the way. And while you're at it as well, we'll expand his chest area out to the sides here with these pieces, so they'll form the front fenders of the car. Then we take his arms and kind of shift them down so that they're pointing straight. Just be kind of knowing that you're going to knock some of these fenders out of the way. So just reset them back as you go. Once you've got them pointing at you, bend the arms at the elbow so that now that his fist, it'll now have his fists pointing upwards like that. Then basically we're coming in here to his own, right where they are at the shoulder, and we're trying to swivel the shoulders a bit inwards at this spot. That way we're totally clear of the fenders. Keep those elbows up. Because then you'll turn them from the elbow inside. Nope, not that way. You want to straighten them out and make sure they're rotated into the position necessary. Then bend them upwards, because the arms are going to get tucked into the shoulder, into these fenders here, as soon as we can get the shoulders to shift like I wanted them to be. You'll notice there's a bit of a stripe on Bumblebee's shoulders. That'll line up in a specific way, and then you just get the arms to fold up and inwards, and they'll attach inside. There we go. Now we're getting things to go. Make sure you adjust the shoulders so that the pattern is going up and back, so you see it kind of lines up with the full windows of the car. That's one of the things the instructions really don't make clear to you, that you got to do that as well when you get it ready, and then push it in and get it locked into position. The wheel should just be barely outside. Use that here with the other wheel. There we go. Almost. That's better. There we go. That's better. That's more how it should be. Alright, now that we got those in, we'll come around here to the back. You're going to rotate his legs at the hip all the way around so his feet are pointing up. Then they kind of want us to shift the body a little bit so that we get it So his hip is resting on the inside of the car. Like that. But you get a good look at that. Then we'll come back here to his legs. And they should pop out around the knee on the inside. And you just fold them around to the sides like so. Then we'll bend them downward at the knee. And of course, once we've done that, you'll come up here to where his feet are, and you're going to fold those inwards. Try to do that while keeping the legs up, so that way the feet go around the dark gray portions of his legs, like that. Of course, once that's done, you'll come down in here. These little small pieces will fold down. Want to warn you, be careful of these thin pieces of plastic. They do pop out very easily. Of course, once you've done that, then you'll come back to the feet. And these parts fold inwards. Like so. Then you'll come down here and you're going to fold the legs so they come up flush with the body. There are several points of connection, like you'll see here. There's a couple of posts along here. They should fit in these holes under the window. And there's a tab in here, right inside the leg, and that should connect to this hole in his arm. So there's a lot of connecting to do. There we go, that one's in. Let's see if this one will cooperate just as well. Almost. Keeps wanting to pop the arm free. There we go. Got the lower one in. I think we've popped the other side free. Yep, we did. Just when you think you've won the fight, folks. And then the other side came free again. Now stay in there, please. There. And then, of course, once that's done, you can bring down the rear portion of the vehicle. And it should connect into these holes here on the back. That is, if I can get him to quit popping apart with every move. Alrighty. That looks to be about as good as we're gonna get. Because every time I try to move him, he keeps wanting to pop free. But there we have it. He's in his Cybertronian car mode. Trying to make it look a little bit better, but he does not want to cooperate. But at any rate, you also do get some weapons storage with him in this mode. Right down underneath him, you'll see there's a little slot in near his head. And it is just good, big enough that it will fit the rifle. You just gotta get the rifle in there, because it has a post that'll connect it in there. His sword can then be attached back here on the back bumper. And then the larger cannon it has a post so it can be mounted to the top of the car. And then there you have it. Bumblebee has an attack car mode and can store all of his accessories. That's always a nice feature. But now we get down to my thoughts, and unfortunately I don't like this toy. I can't really say anything good about it. It is a bit of a pain in the butt to transform because the instructions really aren't that clear on it. And as you saw, it really doesn't hold itself together very well in its car mode. Every time I try to get it locked into position, I end up popping the other side free. It's not really very well thought out or engineered. I know there's a fair amount of fans online that really don't care for this series, and while I'm trying to give it a chance, I don't really think this is going to be a memorable expansion to the line, especially if you can't get it to hook together very well. I was adjusting it because I could see the back wheel was sitting upwards. So this is definitely, unless you're a major fan of the War for Cybertron games, I'd say you could probably skip these guys, or at least skip this one, because this one was not very well designed. At any rate, that's my look at the Gamer Edition of Bumblebee from the Studio War for Cybertron line. I hope you all enjoyed it. And please do remember that if you like the content we feature on this channel, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.